What's up, everybody? One Fun Guy podcast live in the studio, guys. Just hanging out tonight. What I wanted to do was talk about what I got coming up on my podcast. Next week, I'm actually going to be a guest on somebody else's podcast. I'll put that out and let everybody know. And then in June, guys, I have Matt Zane coming back on. Matt is the singer of Society One. He's awesome. He's been a guest on before, and he's going to talk about the Wayne Static and Tara Way story. Wayne Static, obviously the lead singer of Static X, and the controversy that's going on in there. So I'm super excited to have him on. And I think what I'm going to do, guys, is take a little bit of a different approach this time. And I think I'm just going to kind of go off the record and just kind of ask him more in-depth stuff about being, about what he's got going on, and kind of, my traditional kind of way is to promote and kind of, be positive. And Matt's in a kind of a turmoil right now, because they are trying everything they can to stop this documentary from coming out. And I kind of want to dive deep into why he's so passionate about doing this and what makes it so such a passion of his to do this. So that's going to be super fun. So I have Guns N' Roses coming up in July. I'm going to be streaming from that. So if you guys are Guns N' Roses fans, you guys can watch me do that through this live here. I'll post it. It'll be in Chicago at Tinley Park, at the Credit One amphitheater. It'll be Guns N' Roses. I don't know who's opening for them. They have a bunch of different people lined up, and I don't think it's tacked down yet. But anyways, that'll be pretty awesome. So I'm super excited about seeing Guns N' Roses. I did go to the record show this week. That was kind of fun. I did get a few new vinyl. Nothing major. I did happen to score this, though, at one of the local record stores, the Chimera. So I was super happy with this purchase here, and it was very reasonably priced, very inexpensive. And then what I did get at the record show was I actually got this, which is Starship. Nothing's going to stop us now, obviously, from the motion picture of Mannequin. And then I scored this guy here, which is The Worst of Jefferson Airplane. So this is kind of got their best hits on it. So just a little stuff, guys, nothing major that like is kind of, overtly pricey. Those were very inexpensive records. They were just fun and they were there. So I kind of did that. If you guys could do me a favor and like the live, guys, and share it, I would deeply appreciate that. I'm trying to get my lives more interactive with you guys, not just when I go on concerts. Usually when I do that, I'm kind of in here co-host with another creator, Jude Prince. Let's see what Jude's got going on. I'll try it and see what's happening. What's up, bud? What do we got? What's going on? Who's here?
I don't know. What's going on, man?
I don't know. I just accepted an invite, so I just...
How the heck did you get on my live, bro? How's everybody on here? I don't know you. And who is that? Is that?
So whoever Jude Prince is invited me on, so I don't know who that is.
Jude Prince. So you just trying to get my money. Stop getting my money, Jude Prince.
So that's Jude. Jude invited me on.
Jude, you want my money. Stop trying to battle me to get money, bro. Stop. What's up with you, man? You got a nice setup over there. I got pillows in my background. You got all kinds of nice stuff.
Hey?
What's good with y'all?
How the hell
this is my studio.
What? Like, how am I with just random people just being thrown in with random people?
I ain't even random, brother. I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro.
You're not random?
I'm ancient, brother. I've been here before already. I really been here since the beginning, though.
Yeah, where are you guys from?
I'm from Turtle Island.
He said he's from Eternia.
I said I'm from Turtle Island, bro.
Turtle Island. Where's that at?
Yeah, the one where they're carrying us.
That's here. What y'all think the United States is? What y'all think that is?
I don't know. That's what we're asking. I never heard of it. Where is it?
He's talking about the turtle that carries the earth on top. But we live on a flat earth, though, bruh. Like, he think I don't know. I'm from Eternia too, bro.
Nah, brother.
I'm from the other side of the wall too, bro.
I don't think you don't know, brother. I'm just say like
I
this.
do. I do.
No.
I was connected to one of these. But I'm not connected no more, brother. I've been disconnected, bro.
That's all I needed to know, bro. But I'm gonna say like this, brother. I don't think you don't know, brother, bro.
I know. I am already. I already am. It already happened. We're going back to the beginning, bro. I already know this.
Babe, you know we all connected then, brother.
Yeah. That's how you got me. But Jude just wants money, bro. He don't want to know. He just wants to battle people to get some gifts, bro. That's what Jude is doing.
All right,
That's what you do.
Let's break that down. It's really not him, bro. It's really a spirit. If you know, you know. It's really a spirit that's around him that's doing this for the money. Because
that is true. That's true.
Hold up, though. Let's be real. Where does the money come from, bro? Where does the U.S. Treasury get the money from? The trees. They cut the trees down, turn it into what? Okay, boom. They go to the printer, and it only takes 6 cents for money, right? So we steady worry about living off of money the whole time. We're not even taking care of our trees no more. So as he doing it for the money, that's not him. That's a spirit that's around him.
That's why we gotta go back. We gotta go to crypto, bro. We gotta do everything crypto.
Man, I'm gonna tell you like this, brother. You are the currency. You are.
I know this.
So we don't need. Look, we don't need nothing from the outside, bro. Think about it. Back then, bro, we ain't had no money back then, bro.
I wish we went back to it. I wish we went back to that time, bro. You hear about
it's still I'm gonna tell you like this, bro. I'm gonna give you some real insight from my ancestors, bro. Bro, we in the past right now, bro. We in the future right now.
I know, bro. We're going back to the beginning. We're going back to the beginning.
So listen, like I said, everything that was going on back then is still going on right now. We just got a mask over our face. If you don't see it, you ain't gonna know it. You gotta remember, bro, what they did. They killed us from the inside out.
All right, I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna follow you because I like what you're saying. I'm gonna follow you because I like what you're saying.
Page, bro. I'm almost at like 400 posts. I speak about this shit every day. That's all I do, bro. Like I came here on my earth mission, bro, to really protect the truth and remember, bro. My last lifetime, bro.
You gotta, hey, man. But let's see what I'm telling you. I'm gonna put you somewhere. The secret is if you know you're not supposed to say, bro, you saying it. Don't say it, bro. Don't say it.
Who came up with that though? Who told you?
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm not a gatekeeper.
Don't say it.
I'm not a gatekeeper though. Why I'm not
say it, man? You going next time I check your TikTok, it's gonna be disabled, bro. Don't say it, bro.
Brother, I'm not tripping on that. I'm protected, bro.
No,
can't say Illuminati.
Who you think they made these? Who you think they made their phones based off of? It's based off of us. It's not artificial intelligence. It's ancient intelligence, bro. This shit based off of us. This is a black. How you think right now?
You saying too much. You saying too much.
No, bro.
Can't say Anunnaki on a live.
No. Don't say those names, bro.
Can't say Illuminati on a live.
No, don't say those names.
I'm gonna say like this, bro.
Don't say those names, bro.
Can't say Emerald Tablet on a live.
No.
Can't say Sumerian tablets on a live.
My ears are breathing, bro. They're bleeding.
Can't say Sumerian tablets on a live.
Don't say none of that, bro. Don't say none of that.
So like, I'm gonna say like this, dude. How we gonna?
Don't say the Truman Show. Don't say the Truman Show. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Can't say Antarctica on a live.
Don't say it. The other side of the wall, bro. Don't say it.
To me, bro on the right, he look like he an agent. He look like he got Agent Smiths around. Mine, he tripping. Like, I really go to war with them on the regular. I be at war with Romans on the regular. So, like, I ain't tripping on nothing about no gatekeeping, about my page getting blocked, bro. I've been getting shadow banned since I started posting. Bro, you know what
I'm not saying that.
No,
they're gonna come, hey, they're gonna come knocking. The guys in the black suits are gonna come knocking at your door, bro.
Look at me, bro. Bro, they tried that already, bro. Like, look in my eyes, though, bro. It got put down.
Hold on, because I'm nearsighted. Hold on.
Shit, I'm not playing no games out here, bro. My third out fully open. They tried to kill me already, bro. November 3rd.
Can't say lizard people on a live.
November 3rd.
Yeah, I'm alive.
November 3rd to be exact, they tried to kill me, bro, but that shit didn't work.
Like,
how did Jude beat me? Because he's part of it, huh? That's why. How come Jude beat me, bro?
Oh. Jude? I don't know. Well, I'm about to say, what y'all names is?
Jude's the only one that's been silent this whole time.
I know. He just came in here, took some money, and now he gone. Hey, what's your... I don't like using my government name, man.
That's, bro. Just remember, brother. Figure out your name. As in this right there. Figure out what your name mean through the stars, bro. I'll just sit with yourself and ask, bro. Sit with yourself and ask yourself, bro, what my name mean through the stars, bro.
I'm already been disconnected, bro. 2012, man.
You say
That
I've
was
been
the
unplugged.
that was a
I've been
reset.
unplugged, man. But I'm like Cypher, bro. I just want to get back, man. I
whoa,
want to act like I don't know.
whoa.
That was a reset.
I'm gonna teach you
I
something.
want to
bro.
act. I want to act like I don't know, man. I want to act like I don't know, man. Just go, because there's too many of them, bro. It's too many of them. It's too many of them, bro.
No, bro. No,
Many of them, bro. It's too many of them, man. We ain't gonna make no difference. It's I can only control what I can reach, man. So I'm only protecting my family, man. That's it.
Bro,
Only
it's in
people
your
that
mind.
I can touch.
Everybody is you, bro. It's in your mind.
No, man, but
What you
my
telling
it
yourself-
can't reach outside, bro. It can't
bro.
reach that far, bro.
Listen. Let me break it down to you. What you tell yourself up here becomes this.
Too far, man. It's
This is
too
your
far.
subconscious,
Exactly,
bro.
but so I can only imagine my family that I can touch. So that's what I cover, man. I cover them.
Those guys were fun, but you never know what you're gonna find, right? Who you're gonna come across. I'm gonna see who else is on. See if there's anybody else. Those guys invited me on. I didn't know who they were exactly, so that was just kind of fun. I'm gonna share this out with a few people, guys, just to see if anybody else is on. And then we're just hanging out tonight, guys, having a fun time. I need to create some content. I went to see Fozzy and a few other bands this week, In Flames. And unfortunately, a lot of my stuff is getting copyrighted, so it's not letting me load up on YouTube, even though I make the disclaimer that this is for entertainment purposes only. Jess, what's going on? How are you? That it's for entertainment purposes only. However, the reality is that if you don't have trademarks to the music or the vocals, then you're going to get. I did everything I can to get around the trademarking and stuff, but my videos just will not upload from my YouTube channel. So obviously, I am getting hit with the copyright infringements, and it's not worth getting in trouble over just sharing some music that I was at a show with. So I never have a problem when I live stream it. I always seem to have a problem when I just record it and go to upload it. I don't know what the difference is. I'm not really 100% sure to be exact, but I noticed that when I record it on my camera and then I go live, it becomes a copyright issue. If I stream it on TikTok and then I go put it up, it's never an issue. So I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe it's the version of how I upload it. I don't know, but I've been hit now twice with it. So I have a super busy week this week, guys. My friends come over for wrestling tomorrow. Thursday, I have a meeting. Friday, I'm having dinner with some work people. So this was the only night I was free to come live and put some content up and try to be somewhat vigilant on social media. Doing this and then going to YouTube is a much better way for me to put videos out than just going live on YouTube. The YouTube videos, for whatever reason, they just kind of fall into your lives. And then it seems like people don't ever go to look at them. So even when you're live on Instagram or you're live on TikTok or you're live on Facebook, it just kind of seems to me that this is just a little bit more interactive and a little bit more fun to see who is on and then see if anybody else wants to like pop up with you. Or I was just on with those guys. I didn't know who they were. It basically said, would you like to join them? And I said, sure, I would take a chance at it. Obviously they were fun and they were kind of, interesting, but I just kind of spoofed them a little bit and trolled them. But I mean, that's kind of the cool thing about this environment here is that it's worldwide, so obviously it's a much different demographic when you're dealing with people from other countries and stuff. So it's kind of cool. Some of them are corny and you just kind of got to deal with it. If you've ever been on the TikTok lives before and you see that pop up it's your chance whether you wanted to accept the invite or not. I was just rolling with it, and I said sure. I've actually met some really cool people doing that, and then obviously I meet some people that are just kind of having fun and doing their thing, and they're just trying to battle, and a lot of them will try to snake each other's friends. And if anybody's watching, like I think I have 2 or 3 people watching now. If I had 50 people or 100 people or 500 people watching my live and those guys hopped on with me, they would all win because people would start liking the lives, and then they would get likes and they would get. So I see where they're coming from. I get it. But at the same point, it's like my agenda is my podcast. It's not just to come on and, be topless in a bed, messing around with this. To each their own. I mean, not that it's anything, but like it's just kind of, it's not me. Like I take a more professional approach to this. Maybe I should lighten up a little bit more when I'm on these things. Back in the day, when I first started TikTok way back when, I had a core group of friends and we'd all go live, and there'd be 6 or 7 of us in the box, and we'd all just kind of chat and hang out all night. And it was kind of fun. And it was a very kind of interesting way because even though they were virtual and they were, we all knew everything about each other. We all knew how our days were, what we did, what we, how we interacted with each other. Was just a bunch of friends that would come on here. It was kind of like during COVID, before TikTok really took off. House Party was that way. You get that app and you would just have all your friends on and you could just sit and talk all night. And it was just kind of a cool thing. So, TikTok was like the extension of House Party, just a more, kind of virtual way of doing it with meeting new people, where House Party, you kind of had to know them. So if you were on like a text chain or you were on a group, and not everybody would always have iPhones or Samsung products, some people would have, different kinds of cell phones, and House Party was the way to just download the app and interact with everybody, kind of like a Facebook Live with multiple people. So that was kind of cool. Snow Bunny, what's going on? If you're new here, say hi. If you're not, welcome. Like I said, I was just kind of reminiscing old school about House Party, and then getting what you have in your lives, and what you come across on TikTok is very unique in its own right? So you have, different variations of things that are happening. You have different variations of what's going on. You have different walks of life. So you kind of got to be, if you're willing to accept somebody's invite, then you have to be willing to accept the whole part of it and what they have going on. So if they're battling or they're doing something like that, you basically have to, get to that point where you feel comfortable accepting somebody's like, so he said, oh, you have a great background, you have, everything that's going on and, everything that's happening and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cool. Right. But the reality is that like, I'm just doing my live in my studio. And so I have my lighting on. Normally when I come live and I do this, I just have a very, my lights are on. Nothing's really kind of, popping. I'm just kind of me doing this. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, if somebody like here, for example, I'm going to say join this group. They asked me to join, so I'm going to see what happens.
Hello.
I didn't know.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Not much. One fun guy. Hello.
What's happening?
Not much.
I accepted the invite. It popped up, so I don't know what I was getting into. I was just talking about meeting random people on the internet and
Are you going
kinda
to do
seeing
Billy Bottles?
what groups are you on.
He looking his gloves at you.
So let's see what happens. We'll do this for a round. Let's see.
Just tell him, Tyler.
Doing
Mr. Daniels,
solo.
Leaf Filter installed. Leaf Filter's gutter protection outperforms the competition. Clog free, guaranteed. Now that's common sense. Call 833 Leaf Filter or visit leaffilter.com.
Where's everybody from?
Try me.
I'm here from Mississippi. I'm from Houston.
Nice, Chicago here.
I need you.
And then tell her baby she's busy. Play with her baby.
I need you. Try me.
Chat, could you guys hear me? I wasn't sure if you guys could
Love will always be true. I need you.
Gracias por los tiquititos.
Oh my
I
goodness. Oh my
need you.
goodness.
Hold me.
Yeah, kind of figured.
Hold me. I want you right here.
Hey, Bella Star, what's up, Susan?
Hold me.
Yes, I was asking if you wanted to go live with us.
María, tía María, gracias.
I need you. Do, 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 do.
Ya regresé, tía María, discúlpeme. Ando cocinando.
Sorry.
Do, do, do. Do, 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 do.
Nivel 13. Gracias, tía María. Thank you.
I need you. I need you. Me, walk with me.
Big Mike,
Yeah,
what time you leave in Mississippi?
my son graduates Thursday night at 7. As soon as it's over, I'm leaving. So about 11, 12 at night.
But you're not gonna take him like out to eat or something? ¿Tú cómo estás? Muy bien, tía
He's
María.
going with his girlfriend, that's right.
Oh,
He's 19, so you know what he's going to do.
damn it, boy. I wish I was 16.
He's going to go out to eat with her.
What is that?
I got him a present, though.
What is that? Thank you for the divine fingers. Thank you. How are you doing, hon? How are you doing? Thank you for coming in. Oh, can I get a full refresh from you, please?
I'll be there about lunch Friday or
Gracias, tía
1.
María.
I'll be there lunch or at 1 o'clock Friday.
Imagine Big Mike coming to Texas for the first time.
I'll be there around lunch or later at 1 on Friday.
Thank you for the divine fingers. Oh,
One fun.
for me.
How you
Yeah,
been?
you did. What happened?
Good.
Did you bite your shirt?
You're not too much of a talker, are
I
you?
saw her hands in her mouth. I think she bit herself.
He's looking
All I
at
do is
you.
talk. I have a podcast.
Oh,
He's looking at you, so I know.
no, I was talking to you, bro. You with us, you gotta like blend in.
Ooh. Quavo.
You want some what?
Bring them raindrops.
Baby kisses. You feel better.
What are you making with the pork chop?
I'm gonna make a salad on the side and then with rice with the Mexican cheese.
What's up, guys? Sorry, that was getting kind of hectic. It's crazy when you talk to a group of people like that, because like everything's going on in the background and you can't get a word in, and it's like, but what's everybody doing? I just went to the beach today, so that's awesome. I'm super jealous. I love the beach. I hope to be on a beach in about 5 years when I retire and permanently on the water. That's my goal, is to get out of this state and get somewhere nice and warm. And, you know, at least that's my goal. I don't know. People have different ambitions and what they want to do in life. Mine is to have fun in the sun. My plan right now is between Florida and Nevada. And the only reason why I'm picking Nevada is I have a ton of friends that live in California, and it's easier for me to get there than it would be obviously from the East Coast. But I love the Lake Mead area. I saw a bunch of condos in Nevada. Um, I like the Havasu area of Arizona as well. But I'm trying to go to places that don't tax your pension, that have a little bit lower cost of living than Illinois does, and a little bit of a place where I can find either a lakefront or an oceanfront condo for less than $500,000. Those are my goals. So if I could do that, I've started looking at real estate already. I've obviously been going on Redfin and that kind of stuff. Kelly is awesome, right? Like if I had money and I could afford to live in California, it would be my number one destination, right? It's the best weather in the world, the best views. I love California. I love everything about it. Like I said, I have a dozen friends that live in California, and I love visiting them. I love going to the different areas where they're at. Some are in Corona. Some are in Sacramento. Some of them are actually in the LA area. So I love spending time in California. It's one of my favorite states. Like I'm still old school. I love going to the Sunset Strip. I love Hollywood. I love the Hollywood Hills. I am like, I love that environment of California. You know, I love the beaches. I love Huntington, Redondo, Santa Monica, Venice. I love all the beaches. I would be a beach bum entirely. But the only thing is that to live in California and have access to that is really expensive. And the average person with a pension isn't going to be able to afford that kind of lifestyle. Now, going to Vegas, I can definitely swing it, and I'm only about 3 hours away. So, you know, so that's different, right? If you're born and raised in a state and that's all you know, then you wouldn't know otherwise, right? Like I was born and raised outside of Chicago, right? So like, you know, I grew up on the west side of the city. So that was all I knew, right? I knew Chicago, and I would vacation to Florida. I would vacation to California. I would, you know, but living in Illinois my entire life, like that's all I know, right? So, you know, the downtown area was great as a kid, right? You had the Cubs and Sox, you had the Bears, you had the planetarium, you had, you know, the Shed Aquarium, you had both museums, right? The Museum of Field and Industry, or Science and Industry, and the Field Museum, right? You had the Art Institute of Chicago. You know, we're very cultured here, which is awesome, right? Like I love the fact that I was able to experience all those things as a kid, because most people in the country don't get to experience that kind of stuff. They would have to drive hours where it was in my backyard. So I do like it, but I hate the weather here. I really, really hate the weather, right? And I love the summers. I hate the winters. It's bitter cold and snow, and it's everything that I don't want. But you know, I do love the culture of Chicago. I mean, it has kind of that certain, you know, oomph to it, right? But Illinois is a high tax state. It's a high cost of living state. Our gas prices are outrageous right now. All our food is out of control, expensive. You know, so living in here when it's all you know is a little bit different, right? But in that same vein, you know, I love California, and if I could afford it, I wouldn't mind paying the 30% taxes, right? Angie just came on. She's my old school friend, so I'm going to say hi to Angie. But yeah, I mean, it's all I know, right? So if I didn't know anything else other than Chicago, it would be a different. Now, when I go to Florida and I go to the beach, I love it. When I go to California and I go to the beach, I love it. You know, we have beaches on the lake here. Like it's not the same though. It's a different environment, right? You know, it's a unique spot to grow up. Chicago is very cultured, very food enriched, right? There's a lot of things to do here. It's got a strong heritage, and I'm not knocking it, but after what would be 52 years of me living here, I think it's just time that I want to try something else. And I'm either going to go east or I'm going to go west. Now, Texas isn't out of the question. Alabama's not out of the question. There are certain things. Hayden, what's going on? There are certain things that I like, right? That I would enjoy in doing those, right? But the reality is that I have to look at a budget as well, right? I can't live outside of my means. So like I have to understand that as well. California would push that to the max, where living in Nevada or Florida would kind of reduce that for me, right? So I have to look at health insurance. I have to look at cost of living. I have to look at food prices. I have to look at property taxes. I have to look at homeowners associations, right? Like living in a condo is completely different than having a home, right? Now you have all the amenities in a condo that you could ever possibly want at your fingertips: a gym, movie theaters, swimming pools, things like that. But that comes at a cost, right? So when you start looking at HOA fees, right, especially in Florida, right, a lot of the condos I saw are like 300,000, 350,000. Some of the nicer ones are 4 and 5, right? But an HOA fee in one of those buildings is $1,000 a month, and it goes up from there. Excuse me. Some are 1,300, some are 1,400. Some are 1,500 in just HOA fees. Now, the ones that are way more expensive have way more amenities though, right? Coffee bars where you can go down to the restaurant and get free dinners, right? If you live in the building, you have access to grocery stores in your building. You know, some of them have 2 or 3 restaurants, like I said, 2 or 3 coffee bars, late night bars, right? You could live your entire life and never leave your building, right? Now, I'm not saying I would do that, but you know, if you look at the price of an average gym, right? A gym membership, unless you're going to like Planet Fitness where it's $20 a month, the average gym membership is between $30 and $60 a month, right? So when you have that calculated in that you get a gym for free because your building has an amazing gym, right? And a complete workout facility. If you like going to see movies and you have a theater in your building, right? You can go and see a movie every day. A movie costs probably $13 to $25, depending on where you're going. Now you add that up, right? If you go to 2 or 3 movies a month, right? And you just say the average cost of a movie is $20, right? If you see 3 movies a month, that's $60. So now that's included in your building. You don't have to leave you can go down to the 7th floor and watch a movie. There's billiards rooms, right? There's cards, there's libraries. Now, I'm not saying that, a lot of that stuff is free or less expensive, but living in a retirement building like that, where the condo has all of that stuff, you have access to all of that and you don't have to leave, right? So, there are perks to having that, especially an indoor pool, outdoor pool, dartboards, interactive places, computers, things like that. So you don't have to necessarily have that all in your unit. You can go down the hall and share it with somebody. But I mean, those are the perks of having those HOA fees, right? Like I said, having an indoor pool and an outdoor pool, right? So if it's really bad weather and it's lightning and thunderstorming and you want to go for a swim, you go to indoor. If it's a beautiful day outside, you go outdoor. You get boat docks, right? A boat dock in California or in Florida could be anywhere from $200 to $300 a year, right? Or more. That's included in a condo. You get a boat slip. So the 2 condos I were looking at are right on the river. They connect to the open ocean in about 5.5 minutes. So those are things that you have to consider. So, that's included. So the low end HOA fees are like, anywhere from $750 to $1,000. The high ends are $1,400 to $1,500, but you're getting a lot more with those high end ones. But those are things to take into consideration, right? I didn't know that until I started actively looking at condos. Now, I don't want to own a home in retirement. I don't want the responsibility. I want to set my thermostat at 70 and get in my truck and drive the country. I want to fly overseas, right? I want to see Europe. I want to see Asia. I'd love to see the Middle East. So I want to do a lot of traveling, and condo lifestyle makes that easier, right? You just maintain what's in your unit. Outside, you don't have to worry about anything, right? You're not cutting grass. You're not mowing the lawn. You're not doing anything, right? You're basically, in the unit, they have a garbage chute. You throw your garbage down the chute, it goes right to the dumpster. You don't ever have to leave to throw your garbage away. Now, some people would say, well, that's just being lazy, right? Well, you look at it one of two ways. It's, do you want to own a home and have all the homeowner responsibilities that come with it? When things break, you have to fix it. When things go wrong, you have to repair them. When, or would you rather have a condo where if something goes wrong, you call somebody else, they fix it? Or if you're out of town and something goes wrong and you get an alert, that says, oh, the water pressure is really low. Well, then somebody goes in and fixes it. So those are the things where, condo and living in that way, not having to worry about stairs, having an elevator, right? The units have that, as I'm starting to get older, right? Now at 52, obviously I'm still young, but then what happens at 62? What happens at 72? What happens at 82, right? Are you going to be able to do stairs? If you buy a home with stairs or a basement, are you going to be able to get up and down them as you get older, right? Condos pretty much have that freedom to where you don't have to do anything. It's easy to maneuver around. You could get in and out with a wheelchair. You get in and out with a walker, right? Because, sometime at some point in our lives, we're going to get to that stage where we're not going to be able to be self-sufficient anymore. So those are the things that I'm looking at, moving into the future and moving into, the what ifs, right? Now, from 52 to probably 72, I think I'd be okay, right? Being able to do all that and enjoying that. But from 72 on, that's when things start, most people start slowing down and they're not, as young and as active as they once were. So that's what I'm looking at, right? Buying a condo for the long run, right? At 52 for 30 years, at 82, it's paid off. I don't know the longevity of life, and this is kind of morbid when you say it, right? But, having the career that I have, right, in the field that I'm in, most of the people who are first responders don't live to be old men. And old women, they just don't. All the stress and all the headaches of life and dealing with other people's problems and doing everything takes years off of a life. So the average expectancy of a male first responder is like 75, where the average male is like 83, right? So it takes a decade off your life like this already. And that's not to mention all the health issues I've had and everything else, right? I'm very lucky to still be alive right now. So I'm very blessed, right? I have a great life. I've lived a full life. I've done everything that I've ever wanted to do. But I just think when I retire, I just want to start fresh. I want to start new. I don't want to bring everything with me, and I've said that, a couple times. I'd like to bring my records with me in a record player. But all of this stuff here, like, I've enjoyed it now. I'm not going to take it with me when I retire. There's a few things that I would consider taking with me, some pictures and stuff. But for the most part, I'm not going to display them. They're just going to be in a tote bin somewhere. And so, when you're looking at a longevity of life, right? Like, I don't really ever want to wear, a winter coat again when I retire. If I go to New York to visit, I'm going to do it in the summer. I'm not going to go in the dead of winter where I'm going to get caught, in a snowstorm, right? Like, I would never go to any of those places. Like, I don't want to own heavy jackets. I don't want to own winter hats. I don't want to own thermal clothing, right? Like, I've done all that, right? I don't want to layer up in retirement. I want to, have board shorts and in flip-flops and a t-shirt. Those are the things that I want to do. And everybody's different, right? There's people that lived in warm weather climates their entire life and they love snow. I've had enough of it. I've had 50, years of snow. When I retire, I don't ever want to see snow again. I don't ever want to see frost again. I don't want to see bitter cold again. I understand that, living in those areas, it drops into the 50s and 60s. I'm totally fine with that. I don't want to see -20, -30, right? And our winters in February, it was this year especially, there were 3 weeks from the end of January to the middle of February where it didn't get above 0 once. It was the highs were -2, -3, right? The wind chills were -25, -30, right? I don't want that, right? Cold to me, 50, 45, I will still wear shorts and a t-shirt or shorts and a hoodie and be fine with it, right? I don't want the negatives. I don't want the teens. I don't want the zeros and the minuses. I'm done with that. I don't want snow, right? Yeah, Christmas, you're used to it, right? You hope it snows around Christmas, get a white Christmas. Not having it snow in December, and then again in January, and then in February, and then again in March, and then again in April, and then when you just think you're out of the weather in May, it snows again. I don't want that. And that's just me personally. I'm not, I don't know what everybody else has different ambitions of what they want in life. Me, I don't want that. That's just my choice. So like I said, when I retire, I'll make that happen. And then all of my friends that I've met, right, that are real friends or virtual friends that I've met, that I've been, you guys can all come and visit. My home is always going to be open to you guys. If I go to Vegas, come stay with me and go. I like the Henderson area. I like Palm City. I like Carson City. I don't want to be right on the strip, but who knows? Maybe I will end up right on the strip. I don't know. I don't know where life is going to take me. I don't know what condos are out there. I've seen a few, like I said, on Lake Mead, but I've also seen a few that are right on the strip that are less than, 300,000. So I don't know. I don't know where it's going to take me. But wherever I go, you guys are always welcome to visit. You're welcome to come here. Illinois sucks, but come have it. My house, my door's always open. You guys know that. If you ever want to visit, just let me know. I'll make it happen. I don't mind, entertaining you guys and doing all that kind of stuff. But the reality is that me just personally, I've lived enough of this weather and this environment where I don't want to, make it to where I'm stuck here in retirement. I just don't want to be. And like I said, I love Chicago, right? It's home to me, right? It's where I am, right? It's what I know, but I've had enough of it, right? People that live in Chicago for 4 or 5 years, they love it and they have such a good experience because they get to see all the culture, all the bars, all the nightclubs, all the house music and stuff that Chicago has that they're known for, all the food, right? The deep dish pizzas and the hot dogs and all that kind of stuff, right? That's kind of where, but when you live here and you've experienced it all and there's nothing else to see and you've done it all, you've gone to the zoos, you've gone to the museums, you've gone to the nature centers, you've done everything that there is to do, then it's not fun anymore, right? And you get to the point where people come to visit you and they're like, oh, I want to see this and I want to see that. And it's like, I've already done that like a 1,000 times. I don't want to do that, right? So I just want to find a new life somewhere warm. And that's really it. And I don't really, for me, I don't know about you, Jess. I don't know about you, Ange. I don't know about you, Aaron. I don't know what you guys want to do like in the future, but I've outgrown my welcome here, right? I love everything about it. I love going to Wrigley to see a Cubs game. I love going to the Cell to see a Sox game. I've gone to Soldier Field enough to see a Bear game. Excuse me. I just don't want to do that in my era of retirement. I've lived. Now, I'm not going to say I would probably miss Chicago, right? It's home, right? Like I grew up in Galewood on the west side of the city, right? It was just an Italian neighborhood. I mean, we were all neighborhood kids. That's what we were. It's what I knew, right? All our dads worked for the city, so they had to live in Chicago. We all had to have Chicago addresses. So no matter where you were from, you just found a neighborhood that was uniquely yours because you were literally stuck in that environment. You couldn't leave, right? So all our dads all worked for the city, whether they worked for the water department or streets and sand or CPD or firemen or whatever, they all were stuck in the city because they still have residency requirements, 150 years later, which is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But that's what you do when you take a city job. Your residence has to be a Chicago address. So, like I said, growing up in that area was great. But again, like Jess said earlier, when you're born and raised in an area, you don't know anything but that area, right? I didn't know anything outside of Chicago. I knew Elmwood Park, right? I knew Melrose Park. I knew Norridge. I knew Berwyn. I knew Cicero, because that's kind of where all of our families were from, right? But I didn't know west, right? I didn't know Rockford. I didn't know north to Antioch or Zion or any of that stuff. I didn't know, I'm moving to Indiana in June, not on my bingo card. Indiana, you know what? Indiana's next door, right? You can make it to Hammond in 35 minutes from most of the spots in the city of Chicago, right? And you're going to save a crap ton of money. Indiana actually is a very well-run state. They're very in there. Hey, what's going on? They're very welcoming. It's a very well-run state. cost of living is inexpensive. Gas is inexpensive, food is inexpensive, but you have an access to Chicago when you live in Indiana. Now, if you go far west, right? Or I'm sorry, if you go far east, right, and you're going to like, anything past, Fort Wayne, right, Indianapolis or something like that, then you obviously don't have access to Chicago because now you're 4 hours away. But anywhere on the other side of the border, I mean, within an hour and a half, you can make it into the city, which is basically the same as going downtown Chicago, going out to Rockford, right? So Indiana's not a horrible thing, right? It is what it is. I mean, it's everybody has their own agenda and what comes on, right? Better opportunities for work, right? Companies are leaving Illinois by the masses, right? All of these major companies. I know that the big one is Morton Salt, right? Morton Salt didn't get their tax credit. They packed up and left. Pepsi's talking about leaving. Coke's already left, right? They've left Chicago to go to the suburbs. Now they're talking about getting out of Illinois. Where are they going? They're going to Wisconsin. They're going to Indiana because it's cheaper to live there. They get somewhere where it's easy for them to get tax credits. If you own a multi-million-dollar business and you are a conglomerate, you have to go where you're going to get the biggest amount of tax credits. I mean, look at the Bears, for crying out loud, right? They're talking about going to Gary or Hammond just because Illinois won't give them the breaks. It really is a shitty state to live in. Again, it's very cultural. It's very enriched. It's a great state, but it is a very expensive state. Now, going to Arizona, right? I went to Vegas in July 2 years ago. It was 110 degrees every day. It was sweltering. Now, it wasn't bad because I wasn't in it, right? I went from my AC hotel. I stayed at the Link. We had a car that we rented, so the car was AC, right? You remote start the car, get into it. You drive to whatever casino you were going to. You park there and you walk in, right? So yeah, you had to withstand the heat for about maybe a minute or so, going from a car to the hotel, to the car to a hotel, to going. But we weren't walking the strip in 110-degree heat, right? So when it's that hot, you do things that are inside. You're not going to be like, I'm going to be retired, right? So it's not like I'm going to be working on the street in the weather, right? Or in the element. I'll be able to drive wherever I want to go, right? So, it's easy. It's not bad. And weather is weather no matter where you go, right? Everyone's like, oh, you're going to go to Florida. Welcome to the hurricanes. It's no worse than being in Chicago in a snowstorm, right? I mean, sometimes the wind is so bad here, and the snow is blowing from different ways. It looks like you're in the Starship Enterprise with all the snow coming at you. It looks like the stars coming in, right? But I mean, the reality of the matter is that it's cold no matter where you're at, right? It's warm wherever you're at. There's certain things that are good. There's certain things that are bad. Every environment is different. So, it is what it is. When you're in that area and you're that way, that's just kind of what you have to do. And, when you're there, it's just one of those things where it's like you're looking at it from, that environment and, kind of going from there and trying to just be the best environment that you can live in, right? There are certain things that are very harsh when you move somewhere, right? Saying goodbye to your friends, saying goodbye to your neighbors, saying goodbye to your loved ones if you have family. Like I have a ton of family that still live in the area, right? But the reality is I don't see them as often as I used to. So I have other family in Florida. I have, like I said, I have nobody in Nevada, but I have a ton of friends and family in California. So those are just the things that are in the back of my mind, is where I'm going to go, where I'm going to stay, what I'm going to do. But I also want to travel the country, right? I want to get in my truck and drive around and see all the states, right? Drive through Canada, go see Alaska. Obviously, again, I'm going to do that in the warm weather. I'm not going to drive to Alaska through Canada in the dead of winter, right? I'm just not going to do it. I will stay south, west, and east in the winters, right? That's when I'll see Texas and Alabama and Louisiana and the rest of Florida and New Mexico and Arizona. I'll do that in the winters. Then when the weather breaks and it gets warm, then I'll go north, right? I'll go see the UP. I'll go up to Vermont. I'll go to New York. I'll go to Maine. I'll go, to Wyoming and Montana and all the places up north. I'm just not going to do it in the dead of winter. Obviously, there's a plan and a method to doing it and traveling. And like I said, that's just me. I mean, I don't know like what what you guys are going to do, or what you have planned, right? Like, like I said, I do have a bunch of friends that live in California, and even Jess, I know we've talked about, meeting up and, and hanging out and doing all that kind of stuff. I would love to meet you in California, right? One of my other friends, Sugar, she's on here. She lives in the actual LA area. She was in a condo, like in the downtown area. And like, we talk about going to the Sunset Strip all the time and like going to all the stuff. She hates it because now it's overridden by, poverty and drug addicts. But I mean, she's like, it'll eventually turn out to where it is. Like, they'll eventually move it out, right? I love Beverly Hills. I love, all that, all this stuff in Hollywood, right? Like, I am old school like that, right? I love going to that, right? I like going to the Chinese theater. I like going and seeing where all the stars are. I can't afford to even come close to living in the Hollywood Hills or Beverly Hills or but I love seeing the valley. I like seeing what's on the other side, right? Like, all that stuff is fun to me. And I always like looking forward to going to California. It's a great state. I really do love it. I just can't afford to live there. If I could, I probably would very highly consider moving there. But California, like New York and Illinois, are just states where people can't afford to live there anymore, and they're all leaving, right? The people in California are finding their way east to Vegas, right? Vegas is booming right now. All those people that live in $30-40 million homes in Beverly Hills are all buying $5 and $7 million homes in Vegas, because you're getting the same amount of property. You're still buying, a 10,000 square foot house, but in California, you're paying 40 million for it. In Vegas, you're paying 10 million. I mean, it's literally a third of the price of the home if you could afford it. I mean, if you could afford $30 million for a house, you could pretty much afford anything. But why would you want to spend that, right? So now you're looking at it from a standpoint of, you're looking at it to go on to the next realm of where you're going to be and what you're going to do. And for me, that is just basically getting to the point where I can have fun where I'm going, right? And like I said, I love Kelly. I would, if I could afford to live there, I would. It's probably the number one state I would pick. And I know I'm rambling a little bit, but like, I get excited talking about it only because it's so close now. Like, when I started my career, over 20 years ago, it was like a pipe dream, right? When you're a 25-year-old kid, retirement's the furthest thing from your mind, right? You're like, oh, I'm never going to get there. 5.5. So my out date is going to be anywhere from 2031 to 2033, but it's looking like it's going to be one next year is going to be 2027. So in 5 years, it'll be 2032. So I started in June, so that's my anniversary date. So it's literally like 5.5 years if I were to calculate it. So, and like I said, I'm 45 now. I'll be 46 in August. So I'll be 51 when I'm looking at retiring, with a full 23 years on the job. So it's not that far, right? And the crazy thing is, it's still far enough where it's kind of like not there yet, but it's getting to the point where in 2 years from now, right, in 2028 is when I start running my numbers to see where I'm at if I were to retire in 2031, 2032, and 2033, and what the difference is. If it's a couple $100, I'll probably retire in 2031. If it's somewhere about $1,000, I'll probably stay, right? But just to think that, like, now it's the end game for me, right? This is, I'm in the twilight of my career. Like, the end is close now, right? So it's not there yet. It's not like I have one foot out the door, but it's getting to the point where now next year, if I do make 2032 my final year to go there, then I have to start looking at maximizing my pension, right? So working overtime, taking a shift that I can get more overtime, right? So those are the things that matter, because they take the highest 4 years of your last, I think, 6 or 7 years, and then they average them, and that's what you get. So you try to work as much overtime. You try to get as everything that you can to your pension to boost it up, selling back your vacation, selling back your sick time, selling back your comp time, rolling in your a voluntary contribution towards your pension. Where right now I'm at the highest. It's 10%. I can't go any higher. I'll be at 10% for the next. Well, I did it 2 years ago. So I'll be at 10% for the last 8 years, but I was at 7 before that. I was at 6 before that, and I was at 3 before that. So all combined, I'll make a lot of money because I volunteered my contribution to my pension, so it'll boost it up. But those are the things now that I have to consider. Like like I said, this is end game for me now. So the strategy comes into play now. So what I do, where I pick where I want to go. Do they tax your pension? Do they have good health insurance? Is it cost-effective health insurance? Illinois is very bad, right? We're about $1,500 for an individual plan in Illinois until you hit Medicare at 65 years old. I will have 12 more years before I hit that. So for me, I have to wait a little bit. Now, obviously, I'm not going to stay on the job until I'm 65 to retire to do that. But the reality is that those are things I have to consider, right? Florida has a very, very good healthcare system. It's about $600 to $800 a plan, right? So people think that's expensive, but that's half of what it is in Illinois, right? Illinois is very expensive for healthcare. Now, we do have great hospitals. I'm not going to lie. Like, we have Northwestern, we have Loyola. We have very, very good medical things in Illinois. People will come from other places to Chicago to have surgeries done, to have rehab done, to have, our cancer centers are great. But again, it's being in Illinois, it's expensive to stay here. It really is very difficult to live in Illinois retired because the cost of living is so high. So that's why people move south or they move west, because it is a lot less expensive to do that, right? Tom, what's going on? So when you retire and you have those abilities to move out and to save a penny here and there, that's what you do. Now, there's nothing wrong with retiring if you live in Illinois and you worked in Illinois, but it is just expensive. You have to know what you're up against. Where leaving the state, you living there is the cost of living from California. It is very that way, right? California is like Illinois. It's a very expensive state to live in. And there's no doubt about that. I've said that before. But again, living in Arizona, living in, Nevada, living in Florida, it's a lot less expensive to do that. So when you do live in those states, you do save a little bit of money, and every little bit you save is a little bit more you can do for fun, right? So if you want to have the toys and you want to have the fun and you want to do that. And like I said, I'm not knocking people who retire and stay in Illinois. There's a lot of reasons people stay. They have families, they have their roots here. They have a reason to stay in Illinois. That's what they want to do, which is totally awesome, right? But for me, I would just rather see the world, and I would rather, do it at a cost of living that is more cost effective for me. Like I said, I'm not knocking Illinois. I'm not saying it's a very poorly run state. But again, it's in the Chicagoland area. It is very vibrant. It's still a great city to be in. There's a ton of stuff to do. There's a ton of bars, a ton of restaurants, a ton of great food, a bunch of things to see, right? We have a big sports base here. So if sports is your thing, right? We're a very big sports city. We're a very cultural city. But like I said, I've already experienced all that. From the time I was born till now, I've done all of that stuff. So for me, it's not a reason enough to stay here. It's not a reason enough for me to say, oh, I want to continue living in Illinois. I would rather see a beach and sand and warm weather. I would rather see, a coast and palm trees and blue skies, right? That's what I want to see when I wake up in the morning, not this gray haze and this, this chilliness that runs. Even in the summer, a lot of the times you'll wake up and it's 71, 72 degrees and it's stagnant and overcast. Like I'm not saying that doesn't happen anywhere there, But in Illinois, it seems to be the norm, more norm than not. Where California, every time I stayed in LA or Anaheim, it was every time you open the blinds in the hotel, it's bright and sunny. It's never overcast. It's never hazy. It's not like, it's awesome. And that's the thing, right? Every time I stayed in Florida, it was always beautiful out. Sure, there were days that weren't sunny or it was gray, but it's not like here. You know, if you were to average a week in Illinois and you would say, okay, how many days are sunshine versus how many days are gray and overcast, it might be 3 or 4 days of sunshine versus 3 or 4 days of overcast. When you do that in Florida and you do that in California, you might have 1 day of overcast, right? It's 6 days or 5 days of sun and 2 days of bad. And the Midwest is just like that. It's just a very dull place to live. And you know, and I'm not saying it's bad living in Iowa or Nebraska or Wisconsin or Indiana or Michigan or Illinois, but it's just they're very cold states and they're very stagnant states. And that's why it gets the bad rap of being, you know, being a Midwesterner versus coastal people where they seem to just enjoy life a little bit more. And that's what I want. So again, me saying that, you know, now doesn't really mean anything, but when I move, that's kind of what I want to do, right? That's where I want to go. That's kind of where I want to be. That's kind of what I want to see and kind of go from there, right? So, you know, when you do that, it's just one of those type of things where it's like, if you're in that environment and you're in there, that's the pipe dream, right? That's the dream for a lot of people, right? That they want to go into that environment and live in that area where, you know, you can do it. That's why a lot of the people from this area move south or they move west because, you know, Arizona, it's sunny, it's nice. You know, your bones get older, right? You know, when you wake up and you're stiff and sore when it's cold and you sit up and every bone in your body cracks, right? You don't get that in the heat. It's nice. You know, and those are the things, right? That you know, we've all lived in this environment. You know, I hate waking up in the wintertime and planning my alarm clock an hour and 40 minutes before work because I might have to go and shovel myself out, or it might take me an extra 50 minutes to get to work because the streets aren't plowed. Luckily, I have a truck with 4-wheel drive, so it makes things a little bit easier. But the reality is like, you know, you live in this area, that's the norm, right? You look at the weather every night before you go to bed and say, what are the chances of it snowing? Is it 0 to 10%? Is it 10 to 20%? Is it 30 to 40%? Anything over 50%, you're planning on waking up, you know, an hour earlier so you get to make it to work on time. And it sucks, you know, and those are problems that people that live in the sunshine don't ever have to worry about. You know, maybe rain, maybe high winds, things like that, but they never have to worry about a snowstorm where it's actually going to physically take them more time to get to work than it would. Now, you know, California has traffic, very bad traffic, which again, you would have to learn to navigate that if you lived out there. But like I said, it's not because of a weather event that happens. It's not because of something that could possibly happen, right? You just kind of plan for it. We're in Chicago and in the Midwest, especially, you know, anywhere from Ohio to Iowa, basically, you know, you're planning that commute in the morning because you know that there's a good chance that there's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of snow on the ground. So like I said, you have to shovel yourself out. I'm lucky enough I don't have to. I put my truck in 4 low and go. But the reality is that, you know, there are some cars that won't make it. Front wheel drives won't be able to pull out of their drive. So they gotta throw salt and shovel themselves out. And like I said, we get used to that living here. Like it's just kind of the norm. You have your snow boots and your winter stuff, and you wake up in the morning and you just shovel a path so you can get out. You shovel your driveway a little bit so you can get out. You know, that's the norm in living here. I don't want that. I've had that now for 45 years. I'll have it for another 5 years, and after that, I don't ever want to see snow again. And I mean that with all seriousness. I would rather decorate my palm tree for Christmas than to have snow and have to shovel it out. So it's again, they're real world problems that you live in, right? And it's conducive to the environment that you're in. But the reality is I just don't want it. And that's just me personally. I don't want to deal with the bitter cold and the snow ever again. So that's why I'm picking places that are warm, and I'll deal with the heat. I'll deal with the humidity. I'll deal with the storms. I'll deal with the dryness. I'll deal with anything that comes with it, except I won't ever have to deal with ice cold, snow, or bitterness ever again. And that's a easy trade-off for me. Very, very easy trade-off. To never see snow again, to have humid, hot days where it's 100 degrees, I'm in all day long. I'll take that trade-off any day of the week. I don't know. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about? Is there any subjects that you want me to cover? I know we're just kind of hanging out tonight, and I kind of go on my little rails about what I want to have happen and stuff like that. But is there anybody that like has any questions or want to know anything about my thoughts on something, or sports or music or anything like that? Like I said, I did go. I got some records last week. Was a big haul for me. I've been following this channel on TikTok called VW Vinyl. They're out of Florida, and they do an auction style thing, so you can bid. They start at zero. I've won probably 5 or 6 records for less than $10. I got this one here, Until I Wake. I got this for $6. I got this one here last week. It's Smith and Kotzen, so it's Richie Kotzen. I got this for $4, so I just won the bids. And then I tried something new. It was a little bit out of my element. They said it was good rock. I don't know what it is, but I just thought I'd buy it and try it. I wasn't necessarily sure that I was going to like it or not. Obviously, they're all brand new. I haven't opened them yet, but I don't even know what this thing's called. The lights are too low. It's called The Silence in Between. I don't know what it is. It just looked like a good rock album, so I bought it. I won it for like $3. So I've been following VW Vinyl. If you guys like vinyl, it's a good spot to start on TikTok here. They go live different times of the evenings and stuff like that. But they'll have some really good stuff for dirt cheap. So if you're into vinyl, it's a good place to start. Like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, I went to the record show. I got this Starships vinyl with Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. I just like that song, and I've been listening to a few other things. And then I scored the worst of Jefferson Airplane, which obviously, if you like, White Rabbit and all the other stuff, good to know. I need a new record player and up my record collection. I will say this. I found, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it if I move out of the way. It's right here. This is my record player. It's an Audio-Technica one. I got it on Walmart's Black Friday sale 2 years ago, and it's a Bluetooth. So I don't have speakers. I don't have a good audio system. I don't have an equalizer. I don't have any of the mid-range or anything like that. But I do have one of the boom speakers. They're great. They're great sounding. I have my old Bose here, but the Bose was a little bit difficult to kind of connect with, so I didn't use the Bose for that. I kept the Bose one here, but the boom connects to the Bluetooth, so I just turn it on. I start my record, I pop that on, it connects, and then I listen to it that way. It's great. It sounds awesome. And it does everything I need. Would I love to have like a great, surround sound audio system like I used to back in the day? Yes, but I don't collect CDs anymore. So I just went simple. I went Bluetooth record player with a Bluetooth speaker and connected it. There's just something cool about listening to records. Obviously, when I was in high school and in college and a little bit after college, I had a huge CD collection, and that was kind of our thing. Me and my buddy Jim and my buddy Mike, when we were in high school, we'd go to Rolling Stones. We'd go to Pizza Hut. We'd go to the disco round in the mall, and our parents would give us an allowance every week, right? They give us $15-20. You could go to Rolling Stones and buy a CD for $10. You could eat for about $5, and you could have spending money to do whatever you wanted after that. So what we would do is we'd just go and we'd go to Rolling Stones and we'd look around and we'd buy an album pretty much every Friday. And that was our norm in high school. all 4 years. We'd go and then we'd buy the CDs. We'd go to each other's houses and we'd listen to the music. You know, we'd watch a movie or something like that. We'd end up passing out, right? So my CD collection was enormous, right? Like I probably had about 5,000 CDs when I moved. And I decided against my better judgment that I wasn't going to take them with me. I said, you know, I don't have the room for them. I don't really want to do that. I want to get, you know, rid of them. So I went to a record store and I went to sell them. The guy said, listen, he's like, go to a pawn shop. He goes, it would take me weeks to go through all this to give you a fair answer. He goes, a pawn shop's going to give you 25 or 50 cents for every album. If you want a couple $100, go there. So I had 3 tote bins loaded with CDs. I should have just kept them. I should have just brought them here and done it, but I didn't, right? So I sold them. I got rid of all my CDs. I cleared it out. I kept a few that I wanted, a couple signed ones, some rare ones. But for the most part, I probably kept about 50 of them. And I got rid of the other probably 4,000, 50 albums that I had, right? So do I regret doing that now? Yes. But it allowed me to get back into vinyl again when I got here. It gave me something to do. When I got better, I was like, well, I started talking to my buddy Kelly, and he was like, we should go record shopping. And I was like, dude, I don't have a record player. He goes, oh, he's like, I have an extra one. He's like, I'll give you one. I'm like, all right, cool. So I ended up finding one that I liked anyway, so I didn't need his. And then it just gave me something to do. It was a reason to get out of the house and go shopping, right? So, I didn't spend a lot of money on my album collection, right? But I would go to a record store and I would find ones that are 50% off, 70% off, 70% off. I'd go look at all the discount bins. Lucky for me, I like hard rock and heavy metal, which if you're into vinyl, a lot of folk, bluegrass, country, jazz, blues, they're the more expensive ones, right? When you go and buy a CD, the rock CDs are always more than the regular ones are. But in vinyl, it's a little bit different. A lot of the metal albums are the ones that are on clearance because nobody's buying them. They're not, they're really not selling. It's such a small part of the community, whereas, when you go to a record store, the majority of it's going to be blues, jazz, and like bluegrass, soul, R&B, and a lot of that kind of stuff. Whereas the metal stuff is usually dirt cheap, right? Like I'll go to a record store and I'll go and look at like the 50% off bin, the 60% off bin, last chance bin, stuff like that. I'll always find something metal in there for a couple bucks and I'll just buy it. Sometimes I risk it. I don't know what it is. And I'm like, well, what can you get for $3 nowadays, right? Or $4 nowadays? Not much, right? A cup of coffee at Starbucks is $7. So I'm like, well, I'll buy a vinyl record. Like I said, I won all of these on auction. I haven't listened to this one yet. Like I said, I don't know what this is. Obviously, I know who Smith and Kotzen is. If you're a fan of Iron Maiden, you would recognize this guy. And if you were a fan of Poison and a lot of the other 80s bands Richie Kotzen was in, Adrian Smith and Richie Kotzen did an album together. I don't know what it sounds like, but I like Adrian Smith and I like Richie Kotzen. Like I said, this album here, I don't know anything about it. It looked like a solid rock album. It may suck, I don't know, but for a couple bucks, what's the worst that could happen? I don't like it, and I could either gift it away or, I could either, do that or resell it. But, again, it just gives me a reason to get out of the house and do something fun. I just realized that it's 9:55 and I've been on for over an hour now. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I think I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to get ready for bed. I'm going to upload this video to YouTube. Thank you guys again for all this love and support. I am the One Fun Guy podcast. I got some stuff going on. If I do go record shopping this weekend, I will take you guys with me, and I'll upload it. So, everybody have a good night. Angie, thanks for hanging out, and talking. It's awesome. Jess, thank you. Aaron, thank you. It was awesome. I do these about once a week, and I usually only stay on for about 15 or 20 minutes just to kind of promote my podcast. But everybody was on tonight and having a good time, so I just thought I'd stay on and hang out with you guys. So with that being said, guys, again, thank you for all the love and support. Thank you for being part of the One Fun Guy podcast. I really appreciate everything you guys do. If you could help it over my YouTube channel and subscribe to my YouTube channel, it's One Fun Guy podcast on YouTube. That's kind of where I want my platform to flourish. So if if you guys can go over there and subscribe, and if you guys have friends and family that you can have subscribe, it doesn't cost anything. It takes about 20 seconds to just hit subscribe. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Just subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and then it spreads my algorithm. So with that being said, guys, thank you all for a great night, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. I'll see you guys soon.